Casey Middaugh.
Yeah, this is gonna work. I have 12% battery on my computer, so I hope that this doesn't disappear. It's really bright, I can't see any of you. That's fine. I'm sure you're all doing great. This was a really hard piece for me to write. I don't know about you, but post-college, I have a hard time remembering what happened what year, much less how old I was during that. So when Emily asked me to be a part of this show, I said yes. And then I was like, what the fuck happened that year? So I did some math, because that's what you have to do. And oh fuck, it was that year. Great. Because here's the thing, 7 days after my 27th birthday, I was raped by a close friend. And 2 months later, I had to leave the country that I was living in. And that fact is inextricably linked for me. I was betrayed, and then I lost my home. Hand in hand, the same trauma. But I was like, maybe there was some other stuff that happened that year, so I did some research. I lost all of my journals when I moved back to America, but I had started one 2 days before I flew back to Seattle. And so I was reading some of it, and I was like, oh, I was really doing quite a lot better than I thought I was. And I got a little way into it, and then I mentioned my rapist, as obviously I did, because it was something that had just happened 2 months prior to that. And so reading this, I started shaking, and I started crying, and so I stopped. And then a couple weeks later, I was like, Emily asked me to do this show, and I need to figure out how to talk about that year. So I tried to find some photographs. Thank you, Facebook. And it turns out that there's a picture of me on Facebook from 2 days beforehand and from 3 weeks afterwards. So there's a before and there's an after. And there's so clearly a before, and then there's an after. So I obviously started crying again. And it's been 7 years. It's been 7 years since that fucking happened. And I have had so much good therapy. And I made a solo show about it, which was maybe not the best decision, but I did it. And I've written magazine articles about PTSD therapy. Like, I have worked through this, sort of. But I guess it doesn't go away. I guess it will have always happened, and there will always be a before, and there will always be an after. And here's the thing about Casey before, she was fucking hot shit. She was living in London and supporting herself by teaching music to small children who adored her. She was designing immersive games as part of this really exciting scene that felt like the cutting edge of something big. She performed all the time, she dated a ton, she had awesome friends and wonderful flatmates. She felt like she was flying, like fancy and creative and cosmopolitan and probably better than you. Not on purpose. I'm sure you were great. But she was better than you. And then there's me. Hi. I don't think I'm better than you. I am acutely aware that everyone is carrying around pain, and we are all doing our best. I literally made a month-long festival about grief. She and I are not the same person. And here's where I struggled in writing this again. Because over and over, the narrative that I kept coming back to about how my life looks today was that my life today is stifled and confined and pathetic and a little bit tragic. I live in my parents' house. I don't have a steady job. I spend a lot of time taking care of my widowed grandma with dementia, which is tragic daily and heartbreaking. I spent the last 4 years acting as a sporadic second parent to my cousin, who is constantly in imminent danger of being kicked out of high school. I don't date because dating in a house you grew up in is, I think, uniquely awkward. And I don't feel like I'm flying. I feel like I've got a metal band around my wings actively preventing me from flying. And this is frustrating because I don't actually think my life is shit. I am, on the whole, pretty satisfied. It's just that in comparison, in this whole before and after dichotomy, that I kept getting stuck. So I asked for help. I'm really, really lucky to have some incredible people in my life. And one of them, my friend Heather, is both full of wisdom and a rabbinical student, so she's really good at asking questions. And she asked me, what will after look like when this moment is the before? And here's what I think 7 years from now will say about me right now. I was working so hard. I was finding ways to grow within the confines of taking care of so many people. And I did such a good job at that. And within that, I learned how to have boundaries, how to make space for myself while not giving up the beauty that comes from being able to genuinely bring some peace to people. I built incredible relationships, and I learned how to show up, how to be present, how to listen, how to hold space and sit with whatever needs to be sat with. And this is a hard piece to figure out how to end, because life is not particularly pat and particularly tidy. And I'm still learning and unpacking and sorting. That's where I'm at right now.
Woo! Wow.